What's going on, guys? Housekeeper15 here, and welcome to the first episode of a new series called Compared to a Rubiks Brand. Today, to start off the first episode, the whole new series, we're going to be comparing the YJ Yulong to the Rubiks Brand 3x3. The first thing that we'll be comparing is the price, and surprisingly, the YJ Yulong is a lot cheaper than the Rubiks Brand cube. The Rubiks Brand is $10 to $15 depending on where you get it. And the YJ Yulong from the Cubicle is $8, or sometimes you can get it for around $6 on eBay. The height on these cubes is kind of weird because they both measure in at 57 millimeters, but for whatever reason, the Rubiks Brand is looks like it's a couple millimeters taller than the YJ. The next thing we'll be comparing is the mechanism, and the mechanism on the Rubiks Brand is about as simple as you can get, with it being squares on squares. And just no real curves or edges or anything, just squares. While the Yulong, for a cheaper price, it has torpedoes, and I think that helps a lot with what we'll be comparing next. The biggest difference between these cubes, besides the mechanism itself, is the actual algorithm execution. You can tell by the two different kinds of Rubiks brands that I have, the Speed Cube version and the original one, which I lubricated with Pam before I got the Cubicle Lube. It turns okay, the Speed Cube version, but then the Yulong totally shows it up and shows it's much, much better for a lower price. And then the original one itself, not the Speed Cube version, you can see is pretty slow and has no corner cutting or anything, which is what we're getting into next. The corner cutting on these cubes, as you can see how they're laid out, is quite different, with the Yulong being the most, with about 45, maybe a little bit over, and then the Speed Cube version of the Rubik's Cube with about one piece, and then the normal Rubik's Cube is just absolutely nothing, maybe like a half to a quarter of a piece, but I think that's one of the biggest differences that it has besides the mechanism. So overall, I do recommend the YJ Yulong over any of the Rubiks Brand cubes, which I'm going to be surprised if there are any cubes that I wouldn't recommend over the Rubiks Brand, because for this series right now, we'll only be able to go 2x2s, 3x3s, and 4x4s, so I'm not sure if any will be worse than the Rubiks Brand, but you never know really with the cubes that are out there. But if you guys enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoyed it, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And until the next video, guys.